My name is Randall Gilbert, and I've been married to Felicia for 11 years. We have 3 wonderful children, a cozy home, and a life I believed was rock solid. But one night, everything I thought I knew about my wife and our marriage came crashing down. It all started with an invitation to a party hosted by our neighbors, the Spencers. Felicia had been hoping for an invitation for years, and when she finally managed to get one, she was ecstatic. I didn't think much of it, just another neighborhood get-together. She didn't give me many details, except that it was for couples and a bit more upscale. I figured it would be a nice change from our usual routine. When we arrived at the Spencers' house, it was packed. Laughter filled the air. Couples were sipping fancy drinks, and there was catered food everywhere. Felicia immediately fit in, chatting and laughing as though she had been waiting for this moment her whole life. Meanwhile, I was the quieter one, nodding politely during small talk, trying to keep up with her energy while sipping my drink. As the night wore on, I began to notice something odd. The conversation seemed off. People kept dropping hints and exchanging sly glances. I couldn't put my finger on it, but something was definitely strange. Then, a man near the bar casually mentioned something about the keys. "What keys?" I asked. With a grin, he replied, "Oh, you'll see." It wasn't until the hostess walked into the center of the room, holding a glass bowl, that everything clicked. She clinked her fork against her wine glass to get everyone's attention. "All right, ladies, you know what to do," she announced. Laughter rippled through the crowd as the wives started pulling out their house keys and tossing them into the bowl. I froze. Turning to Felicia, I searched her face, hoping to find some sign of shock or disbelief. But she wasn't shocked. She was smiling. And then she pulled our house key out of her purse. "Wait a minute," I whispered, my voice trembling. "What's going on?" Felicia didn't even blink. "It's part of the party," she said casually. "What kind of party is this?" I demanded, my voice low but sharp. She smirked, almost as if I were a clueless child. "Relax, Randall. It's just for fun. The husbands pick a key, and whoever's key they grab, they get to spend the night with her. No big deal." No big deal? Those words hit me like a ton of bricks. "You knew about this?" I asked, my voice rising in disbelief. "Of course I did," she shrugged, as though it were the most casual thing in the world. "Why do you think I didn't tell you? You would have never agreed, and now you don't have a choice." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My own wife had not only planned this, but she had fully intended to go through with it. I felt sick to my stomach. "We're leaving. Right now," I said firmly. Felicia's face darkened. "No, we're not. It would be rude to leave now, and it's just one night. Don't be so uptight, Randall. Maybe this is exactly what we need." I couldn't contain my anger anymore. I grabbed her arm, pulling her away from the group and into the kitchen. "Did you seriously think I'd be okay with this?" I hissed. Felicia rolled her eyes. "You're overreacting. It's just one night. Everyone does it. It's harmless." "Harmless?" I shouted, my voice trembling. "Sharing you with another man is not harmless. I'm your husband, Felicia. Does that mean nothing to you anymore?" She crossed her arms, defiance flashing in her eyes. "You're acting like I'm cheating on you. This is consensual. It's supposed to be fun." Fun! The word echoed in my mind as I stormed back into the living room. I couldn't let this happen. I walked up to the bowl of keys, and all eyes turned to me. My hands were shaking, but I didn't care. I reached into the bowl, grabbed the key with the red cover, and held it up. "I wasn't told about this," I said, my voice tight. "But let me make something clear. I'm not sharing my wife with anyone." The room went silent, and the tension was suffocating. I turned to Felicia, who was staring at me like I had just ruined her life. "Let's go," I said firmly. The ride home was a disaster. Felicia didn't hold back, screaming at me for embarrassing her in front of everyone. "You just ruined everything," she shouted. I ruined everything? I shot back, my voice filled with disbelief. You planned to sleep with someone else and didn't even tell me. What kind of wife does that? It's just one night, Randall, she snapped. It's not like I was going to run off with anyone. Why can't you loosen up for once? Her words felt like a slap across my face. I couldn't believe this was the same woman I had loved for over a decade. By the time we pulled into the driveway, I wasn't sure whether we'd ever be able to fix what had just been broken. When we got home, I didn't say a word to Felicia. I headed straight for the bedroom, slammed the door, and sat on the edge of the bed, my mind racing. I sat on the bed, my head in my hands, my thoughts racing. How could she have done this? How could she think this was okay? The images of her at that party kept replaying in my mind, laughing with those people, ready to throw away everything we'd built for a fleeting thrill with a stranger. A few moments later, the door slammed open, and she stormed into the room. Are you just going to sulk all night? She snapped, her tone thick with sarcasm. I looked up at her, my anger barely contained. Sulk? You lied to me, Felicia. You took me to a party where you planned to sleep with someone else, and now you're mad because I said no? She crossed her arms over her chest, her face hardening. You're being dramatic. It's not like I was running off with someone. It was just one night, Randall. One night to feel alive. Alive. My voice cracked. What about us, Felicia? Don't you feel alive with me? With our kids? Wasn't that enough for you? For a brief moment, her confident expression faltered. She hesitated before sighing, as if trying to explain herself to a child. Randall, I love you. I love our life. But I've been feeling stuck. All I do is cook, clean, and take care of the kids. I needed something different, just once. Her words cut deep. So your solution was to sleep with another man? I asked, my voice shaking. You didn't think to talk to me? To tell me how you were feeling? Would it have changed anything? She shot back. You're so rigid, Randall. You would have just brushed it off. This was my chance to break free, to feel like more than just a wife and a mom. I stood up, my fists clenched at my sides. Breaking free doesn't mean breaking your vows, Felicia. It doesn't mean breaking my heart. Do you even realize what you've done? What you almost did? Her glare softened, and I saw the tears forming in her eyes. I didn't think it would be such a big deal. Everyone else at that party was fine with it. I just wanted to fit in, do something exciting for once. Exciting? I said, my voice rising. You want excitement? Go skydiving. Take up a hobby. But don't throw away your marriage and your family for some thrill at a key party. Her tears started to fall, but instead of apologizing, she whispered, I just wanted to feel wanted, Randall. Wanted in a way I haven't felt in years. That hit me harder than anything else. I thought I'd been doing everything right, supporting her, loving her, being there for her. But somehow, it hadn't been enough. And now, here we were, standing on the edge of a cliff, staring into the abyss. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. Felicia, I can't do this right now. I need space. Space? She repeated, her voice cracking. You're just going to walk away? I'm not walking away, I said, grabbing my car keys. I'm giving you a chance to think about what you really want. Because if it's not this marriage, I need to know right now. She didn't stop me as I walked out. I got into the car and drove aimlessly, the streetlights blurring through my tears. Part of me wanted to scream, to punch something, to do anything to release the storm inside me. But another part of me just felt empty. By the time I pulled into a motel parking lot, it was well past midnight. I checked in, bought a six-pack from the vending machine, and sat in front of the TV, staring at the flickering screen without really seeing it. My phone buzzed repeatedly, calls and texts from Felicia. I couldn't bring myself to answer. Her last voicemail came around 1 a.m. Her voice was soft, almost pleading. Randall, I'm sorry for how tonight went. I didn't mean to hurt you. I thought it would be something we could laugh about later, something to shake things up. Please come home. We can talk about this. I love you. I deleted the message without replying. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache and a heavy heart. I needed to figure out what to do, how to move forward, how to protect myself and my kids. Felicia had crossed a line, and there was no going back to the way things were. My body ached, and my mind was still in a fog. I had barely slept, and the weight of everything felt like it might crush me. What had happened weighed heavily on me. I couldn't push it aside anymore. I had to figure out my next steps. Staying in that motel, hiding from the situation, wasn't the answer. My kids deserved better, and so did I. I needed to make a choice. I called my mom, my voice trembling as I recounted everything. She stayed quiet as I spoke, only responding once I finished. I don't know what to do, Mom, I said, feeling the words slip from me. I can't stay with Felicia after this, but I don't want to lose my kids. Her voice was steady and direct. Randall, you need to think about what's best for them. Stability is key. Right now, you're the one who can give them that. If Felicia is making decisions like this, you need to act quickly. She was right. I knew it. I promised I would come by later to see the kids. But first, I had something else to do. By midday, I was sitting across from Kelly, a divorce lawyer recommended by a friend. She was sharp, no nonsense, and cut to the chase. Adultery is grounds for divorce in Texas, she said after I explained the situation. Do you have any evidence? Texts, voicemails? Anything that shows she either intended to or actually did engage in this behavior could strengthen your case. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through the voicemails. She had left plenty. Some of them were explicit. Kelly raised an eyebrow, but remained unfazed. This will work. We'll need to verify it's her voice and ensure it's admissible, but this is solid. You'll also want to prepare for a custody battle. If Felicia has been a good mother, the court might lean toward joint custody, but if you can prove she prioritized her own interests, like attending parties like this, you could have a stronger case for primary custody. I don't want to take the kids from her, I said quietly, but I don't want them exposed to this either. Kelly leaned forward, her tone softening. We'll focus on protecting them. We'll file for divorce citing adultery and request primary custody with fair visitation rights. That way, they'll have stability, but they won't be cut off from their mother completely. How does that sound? It sounded like a painful but necessary plan. I signed the paperwork to begin the divorce process, leaving her office with a strange mix of relief and dread. Later that evening, I went to pick up the kids from my mom's house. Their innocent faces lit up when they saw me, and it took everything I had not to break down. They asked where Mom was, why we weren't all together, and I did my best to explain. Mom's busy with something important, I said, forcing a smile. But I'm here, and we're going to have a great weekend together. We spent the next 2 days at the park, watching movies, and building a pillow fort in the living room. Their laughter was the only thing that could temporarily ease the ache in my chest. Felicia called me several times during the weekend, but I ignored most of her calls. When I did pick up, her tone bounced between anger and pleading. "You're overreacting," she said in one call. "I didn't even get to do anything. You took the key before anything happened." "That doesn't matter," I replied coldly. "You planned it, Felicia. You hid it from me, and you didn't care about how I'd feel. That's enough. It was just one night," she argued, her voice cracking. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I love you, Randall. I love our family. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this," I said, hanging up before she could respond. By Sunday evening, I dropped the kids off at home. Felicia greeted them warmly, hugging them tightly as if nothing had happened. When she turned to me, her smile faltered. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. I shook my head. "Not yet. The papers are coming this week. We'll talk after you read them." Her face fell, and tears welled in her eyes. "You're really doing this?" "You made your choice, Felicia," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Now I'm making mine." I walked away. feeling her eyes on my back, but refusing to look back. By midweek, the divorce papers had been served. Felicia called me in a panic, but I didn't pick up. Instead, I focused on the next phase. Ensuring the truth about those parties came to light with the help of a friend who had connections, with the help of a local journalist. We gathered enough evidence to expose the Spencer's Key parties. The article, complete with blurred photos of attendees arriving and leaving the house, made it to the front page of the Sunday newspaper. The repercussions were immediate. Couples filed for divorce. Businesses faced public outrage, and customers began boycotting the owners connected to the scandal. While Felicia's name wasn't mentioned directly, everyone in town quickly pieced together what had happened. I wasn't interested in revenge, though. My focus remained on moving forward, on building a stable life for myself and the kids. The damage Felicia had inflicted on our marriage was beyond repair, but I refused to let it destroy me. A month after the divorce papers had been filed, Felicia appeared at my door unannounced one evening. I was putting the kids to bed when I heard the frantic knock. When I opened it, there she stood, disheveled, her eyes swollen from crying, clutching a bundle of papers in her shaking hands. "Randall, we need to talk," she said, her voice quivering. I crossed my arms, keeping my voice steady. "We've already said everything that needed to be said." She shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. "No, you don't understand. I made a huge mistake, a terrible mistake. I thought I wanted something different, but it was all a lie." "No," she sobbed. "It's more than that. Leon, he's been blackmailing me." I kept my tone cold. "Is that what you came here to tell me? Because it doesn't change anything." "No," she sobbed. "It's more than that. Leon, he's been blackmailing me. That stopped me dead in my tracks." "What?" Felicia's hands trembled as she clutched the papers tighter. "After that night, he started sending me messages. He said he recorded everything. Every word I said, every move we made. He has pictures, videos, things I didn't even know were being taken. He's threatening to send them to you, to the kids' school, to everyone unless I give him money." I stared at her, my mind reeling. "And why should I believe you? You lied to me about the party, about everything. How do I know this isn't just another excuse?" She shoved the papers into my hands, texts, emails, screenshots of Leon's threats. I felt a chill run through me as I read through the messages. They were vile and explicit, and there was no mistaking the extent of his actions. "I didn't know," Felicia whispered, her voice shaking. "I was stupid, Randall. I thought it was just one night, but now he's ruining everything. He'll ruin the kids' lives too if you don't help me." I clenched my jaw, the weight of her betrayal sinking deeper with every word she spoke. "You put yourself in this mess, Felicia. You put all of us in it. But I'll be damned if I let that bastard hurt my kids." The next day, I took the evidence to Kelly, my lawyer. She immediately got in touch with a criminal attorney, and together we filed for a restraining order against Leon. Within days, the police raided his house. What they found was more disturbing than I could have imagined. Hidden cameras, files on multiple women, and a collection of explicit material he had amassed over years of exploiting people at these parties. The Spencer Key parties weren't just about swapping partners. They were part of a predatory network, and Leon was at its center. He was arrested, along with several others, and the fallout was swift. For weeks, the town buzzed with scandal, but oddly enough, I felt a sense of relief. Every article about Leon's crimes felt like a form of justice. As for Felicia, the consequences were harsher. The scandal shattered her social circle, and most of her so-called friends abandoned her. She tried to rebuild, to show she could be a good mother despite everything. I saw her efforts, and a part of me felt pity, but it wasn't enough to make me forgive her. A few months later, we finalized the divorce. I was granted primary custody of the kids, with Felicia receiving supervised visitation until she could prove she was capable of stabilizing her life. It wasn't what she wanted, but it was what the kids needed. One evening, as I tucked the kids into bed, my youngest son, Todd, looked up at me and asked softly, "Are you happy, Dad?" I paused, caught off guard by the question. "I'm getting there, buddy," I said, ruffling his hair. "As long as I have you three, I'll be okay." And I meant it. Months passed, and slowly, life found a new rhythm. I focused on my kids, my work, and healing from everything I had been through. Felicia moved to another town to start fresh. While we stayed civil for the kids' sake, we never really spoke beyond necessary arrangements. Then one day, I received a letter from her. The envelope was thick, filled with pages of her handwriting. She apologized again for everything, but it was the final paragraph that stuck with me. "Randall, you were always better than me. You deserve better than what I gave you. I hope one day you find someone who sees that and loves you the way I never could. I will always be sorry for what I did to you, to us, to our family. Thank you for being the father our kids needed when I failed. I'll carry the weight of my mistakes forever, but I hope you can find peace. You deserve it." I folded the letter and tucked it away in a drawer, unsure of how to feel. The pain was still there, but so was something else, a sense of closure. Looking out the window at my kids playing in the yard, I realized that I didn't need revenge, pity, or even an apology to move forward. I had everything I needed right there with me. And I did move forward, stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever came next.